If there was a book that told you all the ways you were living your life wrong, would you read it? Dostoevsky's Notes from the Underground. This is a translation by Richard Pervier, and this is what we're going to be talking about today, so let's get into it. Notes from the Underground by Dostoevsky is about the underground man, a 40-year-old who spent a majority of his career as a bureaucrat intentionally trying to make other people's lives worse. And he eventually comes into a small inheritance which he uses to buy a basement flat, the underground, and that's where he gets his name from. The man is both incredibly intelligent but also spends a majority of his life suffering, and we're gonna get into why. So at the heart of this book, it's about a man who is too smart for his own good. The underground man is incredibly intelligent, but that intelligence ends up turning inwards and it festers. The underground man is an example of someone who is too analytical, who makes his life too complex. And as a result, he's paralyzed, he can't grow. So why? Why does he do this? The main reason is because he's constantly analyzing everything, every motive, every action, and not just his, but others. And so it prevents him from ever making a decision. And he even states, I am a man who is too conscious. Consciousness such as this is a disease. And that prevents him from moving forward. I think the worst part of it is he knows what is right, he knows what is good, but his bitterness and his pride and his insecurity keep him from doing anything. He's a man who cannot act, can only think. The other reason he chooses to live his life the way that he does is because he thinks that suffering is the only way to live an authentic life. He thinks that to feel pain is to feel deeply. And so he views anyone who follows the typical conventions or who aims for happiness as fake. And so he actively chooses pain. He needs it. He needs it to feel real, to assert his freedom, to feel like he's not just another cog in the machine. And he's aware of his pain. He's aware of the pain that he causes others. And that only deepens his self-loathing. It's one of those situations where your perspective of reality creates your reality, which creates your perspective of reality. And it's a very toxic cycle to get into, and a very dangerous one too, because it can be hard to get out of. And the underground man has an opportunity to escape. He meets a girl, Liisa, who is a prostitute working at a brothel, and their relationship becomes the emotional centerpiece for the second half of this book. Liisa is an authentic person. She represents vulnerability. And so she offers the underground man the opportunity for redemption, to be able to live life truly in a good way. They end up talking, and the underground man gives her a very passionate and ironic speech about how she should be living her life and how degrading it is and how she deserves dignity. Liisa ends up going to his flat, and he suddenly panics. He panics because his flat is not very nice, and so when she comes in, he feels exposed. He feels embarrassed and weak and pathetic, and instead of being kind or open, he humiliates her. He calls her disgusting, and he throws money at her like she's beneath him, and that's because he's afraid. Liisa saw through those defenses, and he knew that, and he also knew that she could have loved him, that she genuinely did care, and that terrified him because he doesn't believe that he's worthy of love. He doesn't believe that he deserves it, and so he's using cruelty as a defense mechanism. And so she leaves in tears, and he immediately regrets his decision, of course, and he tries to chase after her, but she's long gone. And that's sort of the point. He knows what he should do, and his feelings are real, but he can't act with love. He can't act at all. And that's how the book ends. That's where his confession ceases. And so we're going to look into the meaning of this book and what it's trying to tell us, what it's trying to warn us. The main issue that the underground man faces in this book is something called conscious inertia. Conscious inertia is when a person knows that they should act, knows why they should act, and even wants to act, but they cannot out of fear or spite or overthinking. And it's a complete paralysis to move. And so the big question, not just for the underground man, but for anyone who's ever been stuck in their own head, is how do you overcome decision paralysis? And to overcome conscious inertia requires an action that defies overthinking. And so you might be thinking, well, what does that look like? And what I'm telling you is, you need to move without feeling ready. You need to move without having clarity. You just need to move, because movement creates momentum. Even if it feels pointless or absurd, you just need to do it. And so an example of this is, if any of you have been wanting to go to the gym or wanting to work out, after this video, I would challenge you to do 20 push-ups. And you might be thinking, oh, well, 20 push-ups isn't going to do anything. And then that's like the exact point, is it's going to feel stupid and it's going to feel pointless, but you're doing it. And that's exactly the sort of illogic that can break you out of these toxic intellectual swamps that you can find yourself in. And so that's sort of the point of this book, and that's sort of how you overcome this very, very dangerous mindset that you can get stuck in. And if any of you haven't read Notes from the Underground by Dostoevsky, you guys should check it out. If you guys have already read this book, another good one is Diary of an Oxygen Thief, which is also an incredible book. I hope this video has helped, and I hope it gives you a better understanding of maybe something that's going on in your life. Yes, okay. Have a good night. Goodbye.